I read your introduction, and then I ask you questions and we yap.
Sounds easy.
Enough. Here we go. Well, you haven't heard the questions yet.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So, if we are going to begin, you're also my first person that in the leadership category.
No pressure.
No pressure. So it's been all mentorship, and mentorship. Like I still have some people through March that are still on the topic of mentorship, but this is the beginning, the first of our leadership conversations. So, if we are going to begin a series on leadership, we should begin with someone who understands that leadership is not about visibility, it's about responsibility. When I first arrived at NDSU, Austin Anderson was serving as student body vice president. Over that year, our paths crossed constantly: meetings, campus events, outreach initiatives, foundation programming, Red River Valley Fair concerts, committee conversations.
Yeah.
And in every room, Austin showed up the same way: present, engaged, thoughtful, welcoming, involved, a leader, if you will. But what stuck with me most was not just his presence, it was his capacity. Austin led a 25-member Senate, helping evaluate university policy and even state legislation. He managed a $4 million student government budget, funding essential services and campus initiatives while serving as a consistent, balanced voice between administration, faculty, staff, and students. In my role at the NDSU Foundation, I wanted students to clearly understand our work, why philanthropy matters, how strategy shapes student experience, how decisions ripple forward, which meant Austin received more than a few texts to begin with. Hey, we're doing this thing. Any chance you're available? Whether it was outreach committee meetings to ensure student perspectives stayed centered, public-facing events, or informal conversations about impact, he never just attended, he contributed. Academically, Austin is pursuing a BS/Master of Architecture at NDSU, carrying a 3.7 cumulative GPA and earning a 4.0 this past fall. He is currently serving as a student tour and recruitment specialist for NDSU admissions, guiding prospective families through their first experience of this university. And yes, he is a true bison, the kind who checks from Europe while studying abroad to figure out how to stream the bison game. Loyalty matters. You may also recognize him from his appearance in Dave Cook's viral video, a reminder that leadership can carry both seriousness and joy. You will learn from him, I'm sure of it. Go Bison. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much for that, Bethany. That was kind of fun to hear you say all that. I appreciate you doing your research.
It's like Austin, and I'll tell you, I think it was like a trustee reception, like my first fall, and I didn't know anybody, and I was like, Austin and Kaylee, what's up? We're about to be best friends. And genuinely, like, I think my favorite part of doing these introductions is like, I wouldn't lie about it. So like when I tell you, like I actually went back through our text messages at all the times that I was like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Can you do this thing? Do you want to come to this concert? Can you come meet these people? And one of my absolute favorites that I had forgotten was like, we're at Frisco. And I was like, Austin, I don't know where you're sitting, but this is the section I'm in. And there's like a million architecture alums. And then in parentheses, it's like 2. But still, you should come say hi to them. And like, you found us in the middle of all of these people at this stadium during this championship game. So when I say that's who Austin is, that's who Austin is. So thanks for being here. And I'm excited to yap.
Well, thank you so much. And I do want to clarify, though, that this is definitely same way. What you're saying to me is what I think of you, because I mean, that was my sophomore year when I started, and I was still learning my own footing within student government and leadership and learning what like a trustee does or what like your whole department does. So you helped me kind of gain my footing just as much as you're saying that I helped you. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we could kind of like learn that together. I guess.
It was really helpful. Like, oh, I've got friends here. This is just fine. So first question, when you hear the word leadership, what does it mean to you, and how has that definition evolved over the years?
Yeah, I think the first thing it means to me is how can I help my team shine, or how can I help a friend shine, or how can I help someone figure out what they're good at and apply that to the larger thing. How that's evolved, I think, you know, when you're growing up, leadership, I think, means to people a little bit more of a superficial meaning, kind of like you're the boss, you're in charge. Yeah, you're making head of that. I think as soon as you start to grow up and like you're actually working with leadership positions, you're working with bosses, you're working with teachers or professors, you quickly learn, at least I quickly learned, who was, quote, a effective leader. I don't want to say good or bad, but effective leader or non-effective leader. And I resonated with the effective leaders were people who were actually taking time to get to know me. They were actually listening to my problem and trying to solve it, or they were telling me what I was good at without me knowing what I was good at. Yeah, yeah. And then I can apply that to the work I was doing for a club or for work or for school. And I got a better outcome because of it. And I was like, wow, I owe part of that success to the leader I just worked with. My hand's going off screen, but I'm pointing to nothing in
I
specific.
flail a lot. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I kind of found out that the non-effective leaders are people who said, I'm in charge and you're going to do this. And but you're like, I don't like doing that, or I don't know how to do that. And they don't help you through it. So I think that's kind of how I came to my conclusion of what it is, just being earnest and listening to the people that are underneath you or that you're leading or that are next to you. Because you can lead up and down, you can lead top to bottom, bottom to top, you can lead side to side, right? So just helping elevate the people around you.
And I think like I love that we're having this conversation because my current fixation in life is okay, I have a lot of fixations, but like one of them is
Yeah.
absolutely the way that we have like I think miscommunicated what leadership is because I think so much of us think about like this boss or this person who tells everyone how to do everything. And as you're acknowledging, the best leaders we know are the people who listen,
Hmm.
consider, hold a lot of realities at the same time, competing pressures and realities. And like, I think even one of the things you said that is so profound, and we could just talk about that for the next however long we're chatting, is that leadership isn't just the people underneath you. Like, you can lead beside you,
Yeah.
above you. Like this is where the flailing makes a lot of sense,
It
right?
does. It
Like
does. It
this is not
helps.
just like here are the people below me and I'm going to lead them. Like leaders show up in all these spaces.
Hmm.
And I think like it's one of the reasons why I wanted you to be the first in the leadership conversation because like you were a young student body vice president.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And like you were a really, really good one. And, like
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I just think it like kind of proves the point, right? That you don't have to be a senior or a grad student to step into that role. Everybody can be a leader.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, running my as my freshman year, and then which Kaylee and I think made a great team, and Kaylee's just fantastic. That's Kaylee Weigel. I didn't know if I expected to win. You know, I told Kaylee this. I feel like it's kind of a bad thing that I'm so young. People might not see that as a good thing. But Kaylee was smart and framed it like, oh, you have a different perspective. You know, you're just as a freshman, so you can relate to the other younger students. But the whole time I was so scared, like, what if the team that we bring on doesn't respect me because I'm so young? Or what if the school doesn't, you know, like that's what holds them back from voting for us, like I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So that fear kind of held me back, but I was able to lean on my parents and Kaylee and other friends who were like, reaffirming my abilities, if you will. And I had some successes in the past that I was able to lean on and failures because those
Hmm.
almost give me more confidence than my successes because I got through them. Um, but those kind of supported me through that. But yeah, you're mentioning like it's a cool thing, but at the time I was like terrified, like this isn't gonna work, like no one's gonna take me seriously. But alas, it turned out pretty well. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's such an interesting perspective, right? Because like I wasn't here when you ran. I
Hmm.
came the summer before you're kind of I don't really know how that works, I guess. When do you become the student body part?
Yeah.
Like when does that like
Yeah.
academically, when does that begin?
Yeah. It kind of starts, and I think it depends a little bit on the year, but around late April, early May, there's a little bit of a
Okay.
transition process. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you
So
go
I
through one
came
year.
after the beginning of that transition, but before the beginning of the school year. And so like you were already in this role when I showed up. And what I love about so much of that reality is like from my seat in the spaces I occupied, by the time you were in that role, there were like no questions about it. Like everyone was like, "Yeah, Austin and Kaylee, that makes the most sense in
Yeah.
the world." And like that
Yeah.
feels so good to like I had no idea how young you were or what year you were. Like I was just like, "Okay, these are student body president and vice president. That makes sense. They're clearly killing it." So congrats. Love that. Love that for you.
Thank you.
So I've seen you in a lot of rooms and you are consistently engaged, thoughtful, welcoming. How is that something you have always been good at? Is that something you've gotten better at? And if so, how have you gotten better at it? Walk me through it.
Yeah, and what a great question. And I reflect on this a lot, actually. I would kind of drive it down to my personality in like a simplified one
Hmm.
word of what you're saying. Um, I think I've always been pretty outgoing. My mom used to bring me to nursing homes when I was a kid, and I would just go around and like give the people hugs if they wanted hugs. Like I think it was a little bit trained into me, if you will, from my relatives growing up. But I also, it's just something I really enjoy. Like, yes, I like meeting people. Yes, I like talking to people. Clearly, I like talking, but I really like getting to like know people and know why you're making the decisions you make, and why you're doing what you do and what excites you, and that I don't know if that as much can be taught, like that innate
Yeah.
curiosity for human interaction and
Yeah.
how it works. And yeah, so a little bit raised into that in that
Yep.
personality, but also a little bit just, I don't know, my desire to know about people, I guess.
And I think so I also was a tour guide in the admissions office in my undergrad adventure, and like yes, snaps for walking people around campus in the heat and in the snow.
Yeah.
Win-win. Um and I think like even the ability to like can you do that? Or like that's not a thing everybody can do. Like admittedly, like and I think that's an important part to acknowledge. Like there's a lot of different kinds of leadership, but it does take a special person to be like, yeah, that's what I do and I love it.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about stepping into that role and what leadership in that space looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Tour guides specifically, all leadership I think should be. I actually gave a speech about it last year, but tour guiding specifically should be so authentic. Like those people, and especially the parents or the guests of the prospective students, they can tell right away if you are BSing them or if you're being so serious with them. So if they ask you a question and the answer might not be satisfactory, you got to be honest, and people are going to respect that honesty more than they're going to take that perceived negative to heart.
Yeah.
So just authentic leadership, I think you need to be successful. And like in my case, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because I'm like loud and outgoing and don't have too much social anxiety, so I can make silly jokes and laugh at it if no one else does. But yeah,
Yes.
which happens a
Yes.
lot. It happens a lot. You would not be surprised, but some would be. Yeah. Ugh.
I love that. I love like and I think there is just like I love that the through line there is not even like it's a people thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's an honesty thing. It's an integrity thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you answer questions about construction or walking to class when it's however cold or
I know.
when like you're clearly like your role is recruiting but my role is not to like bait and switch you like
Mm-hmm.
like I
Yeah.
really don't you be like well Austin told me it was going to be like this like and I think for me that's a fascinating space where like integrity that's like integrity in action.
Mm-hmm.
um so I want to talk a little bit about how your perception of honesty and integrity as a leader and like what that looks like in different spaces.
Okay. Is that the question?
Yeah, I want you to talk about that. I want you to
Yeah.
talk to me
Okay.
about how, because I think, like, honestly, Austin, that is one of the earliest spaces a student is in a position where you have to decide every day, every tour,
Mm-hmm.
are you gonna make this, are you gonna keep it socially comfortable and be like, yeah, it's not a problem, or yeah, it's great, when like maybe that's not your experience, or are you
Mm-hmm.
gonna have the harder conversation? And I think that's a muscle not everybody gets to grow or to flex or to stretch.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I want you to talk to me about that. Tell me about your perception of the role honesty and integrity play in leadership.
Yeah, well, first off, even if it's more comfortable to, it's way harder to tell a mistruth or to stretch something in a better light, quote unquote. It will always be easier and like mentally easier, physically easier to remember the truth if you just tell the truth straight up. And of course, there's ways you can frame it. Like we're told to call basements lower levels, not basements. You can frame things certain ways, of course.
Yep.
Yep. But it's always easier to tell the truth. It'll come out easier. You don't have to remember anything specific for it. Um, Training it though, actually I have a good example of this. Can I tell a story?
Absolutely, please.
Oh, I love stories. Okay, and I'm gonna I'm gonna use a different name for the person, of course. But when I was the student body vice president, there was an issue that came across, and it's that we all but one of our graduate student senate seats were empty. So there was like 4 missing seats. So that was one person representing 2,000 people, which is not a good ratio for our standards, right? So I met with, as the head of that senate, I met with our advisors, I met with our student court and our chief justice. I met with our student body president and a whole list of other student leaders. And I said, hey, is there any language in our constitution about a special election or some way we could get people into these seats, right? Because we need to get these filled ASAP. And they said, no, there is nothing written about that, how to fill these seats in a quote emergency situation. So after consulting all these people, I actually held together a special appointments committee, and maybe not the proper term for it. That was a couple of years ago now. And over that course, we decided to open up nominations or people to apply for these graduate senator positions. And we actually we filled all of our seats. I shouldn't say hired. We filled all of our seats. Yeah. Awesome. We had people in there. I thought it was going great. And then when we went to affirm these new senators, I had a different current senator stop me in that process and check me on that, which at the time I was so scared. I was like, well, did I do something wrong? Is this the wrong process? And they were questioning, how we went about the process, why we are doing what we're doing. Is this the right way to appoint new people? Should we even appoint people in the middle of a term? All those questions, which were so fair, right? Such fair questions. But at the time I was so freaked out about it. The point of this story is that I was able to sit down and review 70 pages of documents with this person, go over the process I went through with our student court, with our advisors. And we actually came to a conclusion that what I did was not wrong, but we should write in language for that going forward.
Yeah.
So walking through that process, my integrity and honesty, if you will, benefited me, right? Because and the Senate as a whole, because we got these new people in there and we did it the right way, or the best way we could do it.
Right.
And we further benefited by opening that dialogue with that senator to write language going forward.
Yeah.
So that issue won't happen again.
Well, and I think there's a lot of things we could talk about in that story that I think are great examples, but one of them is the willingness to have the conversation, to do the hard work, to go through the documentation, to not shut somebody down and say, I'm the vice president, you need to say in your life, you could have gotten super defensive, you could have been like, oh, you're right, just and backed up. And I think one of the things that I think about, I think when people talk about honesty, they normally think about am I telling the truth? But honesty also invites questions. Honesty is willing to go through the work and to honestly pursue the right or the best answer. The other thing you did was build a lasting process so that somebody else who winds up in this circumstance doesn't have to go through what you went through.
And I want to add on to that too. Honesty is also willing to be wrong. Honesty and integrity is so willing to be wrong, and inviting that other perspective who could prove you wrong in front of a room of 25 people or 30 people or whatever, and being okay being wrong.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that. Yeah.
I love that because I feel like in my first director level role, integrity is very important to me. Because if you don't have integrity, what are we doing? What's the point? I feel like coming into that role, I was like, is integrity always being right? And I was like, actually, to your point, integrity is being comfortable being wrong. And I think about that in all the roles that I find myself in, I am a wholly fallible person. I make mistakes all the time. And if my identity is built that I cannot be wrong, that's a really fragile place to be. It's a scary place to be. It's an unsafe place to be for me, for everybody else around me. But if I can be oh man, I'm so glad you asked. I don't know. Let's go through this. Let's find this answer. And I think that just speaks to really what the actual function of leadership is, to your point. Can we do this thing together? Can we make this thing better together? Am I able to be questioned without falling apart? Is an important function of this, right?
Yeah. In any room, in any situation. I mean, you hear that too. It's okay to be wrong, but no, genuinely, it's better to be wrong. You'd hopefully rather catch something before it spirals into a big issue, right?
Oh, helps fail everyone. Fast. Fail fast.
Fail fast. I like that. Yeah.
I think that's important. And I think, I don't know, are you an Olympics fan?
I like watching the figure skating and I like watching the gymnastics. So I'm only watching the big ticket sports. Okay. I don't know if I can claim it.
That's all right. I respect that. I think about the weather has not been great. And so there have been a number of events that I've literally been I don't feel good watching this. Watching the people who are the best of the best of the best fall on these runs because the conditions aren't great. And I keep watching the people who are the best at what they do fall and get back up and do it again. And that is what is leadership?
Yeah.
That actually Like, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you keep going?
You're proven. Well, you're proven why people look at you like a leader too. Is another way to think about that. It's under. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. What a good analogy.
The Olympics are here for all of my illustrations right now, and
Yeah.
that's my life story. And like I think about the quad god guy, right? Like who is, has the only person who's landed these quad jumps in all of their championships and didn't land them for his gold medal kind of competition. And he's talked about this. Like you got to get up and you got to do it again and you got to
Hmm.
figure it out. And like I just leadership has to be human and humans
Yeah.
make mistakes.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Okay. um I have like a lot of questions. I got pages on pages.
Shoot.
Okay. In regards to falling or failing,
Hmm.
how do you handle criticism?
Yeah. Honestly, it depends, and I'll be so vulnerable about that. Sometimes I'll take it to heart, and I think that's just my personality. Sometimes someone will say something, and even if they're right, and I go through the motions because, like you said, we're humans. We still have
Hmm.
our own feelings. I'll take it to heart, but eventually I'll get over it. But if it's a professional criticism, um, or like a class critique or something on a project I'm doing, I've trained myself at least to take those professional areas a little bit better and actually apply that into making a change or into changing something. Not necessarily saying I was wrong for it, but if there's a criticism, there's a crack in whatever facade I was
Hmm.
presenting, right? So I can make it better to prevent further criticisms. And you heard me say crack and
I
facade.
did, as
Clearly,
the architecture student
yeah, I
in
was
the
gonna.
room. I did.
Clearly, I study architecture, and clearly those are real examples of that. But those critiques that we have to do for our projects, I think, kind of helped me build an armor on that. But you can build that armor in like any different room you're in if you take criticism and you apply it to be better, not just to be sad or not just ignore
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but take it.
Yeah, it's hard. And like I think, you know, the real win is to figure out how to like take it and keep rolling.
Hmm.
And that isn't how it always feels. And so I appreciate that your answer is vulnerable and real. Like sometimes these things hurt. I
Yeah.
think one of the things about being a leader is people know how to find you. Like you are
Yeah.
not hard to reach. I got a
Yeah.
complaint, I can find you.
Yeah. Your email and phone number are public. We're gonna let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's, an important part of this whole conversation is, how do you sit there and let somebody, and like I think the thing sometimes it's actually easier if it's true.
Hmm.
Because you're like, yeah, all
Because
right,
you
that's
know it.
fair.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then like there are the times you're sitting across from somebody and you're like, I don't think that's real.
Yeah. I know. I
So
know.
so I think that's probably different than criticism, right? Like I think a question I would ask you is like, how do you handle a complaint or feedback or a criticism that is entirely personal or misfounded, or like when you're like, I don't really know how to handle this. Like how have you had that situation and how have you handled it?
I would handle it the exact same way. Because if somebody's still bringing up a criticism or they're bringing up something that they think might be wrong or not at face value, you still owe them to investigate it if you
Hmm.
can. So
Yeah.
I would handle it the exact same way, to be completely frank. Maybe you're just not seeing something, right?
And I think that's like there's so much wisdom in that like what I certainly don't want is for someone to come into my office, email, inbox, wherever, and be like, wow, didn't feel heard, didn't feel validated, or in any way like I think again, just back to being a public figure in any way, people's interactions with you are their interactions with you. And
Hmm.
so that is a wise response.
Thank you very much. Tried and
Wise.
true.
So you're incredibly involved. Fraternity, philanthropy, architecture students, honor society, student government, probably more things. Is there anything I didn't mention? I mean, I'm sure there's things I didn't mention.
Yeah, there's a couple other, but when I give tours, I mention those the big hitters, right? The fraternity, the Greek life, or same thing,
Yeah.
architecture tour guide. There's a couple I don't go to regular meetings on or take roles outside of general members, so I don't
Okay.
usually mention them. But yeah, there's more.
So how do you prioritize where your time or attention or energy, like there are only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize your life in that space as a leader?
Yeah, genuinely, I don't know. I keep a really good calendar. As soon as something comes up, I'll put it in my calendar, and then I try and base off of like who was on the calendar first system, if that makes sense. But I also have a tough time saying no to most things.
Yeah.
So there will be days like yesterday where I continuously left meetings like 15 minutes early to make it to the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a way you can do that if you're communicating ahead of time and you're being honest in what you're going to attend to or the purpose of leaving early in those professional meetings, right? That people won't take that as a bad thing necessarily. So I was just communicating in my walks places, just texting, hey, on my way, or hey, reminder, I'll be leaving early, or hey, I'll pick you up here.
Yep.
So using time wisely, honestly, there's probably a better system. Like booking myself that full probably isn't the right decision to do, but
I'm not
learning.
sure there is a better way. Like I like that's
Yeah.
one of those questions that like I actually think your answer is really, really good. And
Thank
I
you.
think I love that honesty comes up again in how we communicate or how we keep our calendars or how we, you know, I'll tell you in the years of my student or professional experience, I never take an issue with someone leaving early or arriving late if I'm not surprised by it. And so I actually think that is incredibly tangible advice, Austin. Like, and I will use a personal example. You spoke, you were one of the students we had speak at our outreach committee meeting in the fall, spring, I don't know, time isn't real, spring, I think. And you told me, you texted me, you were like, I had a thing happen, but I'm coming. And like, up until that point, like, you've showed up for everything I've ever asked you to do. If you said you'll, like, I wasn't worried about it. And so I do want to say, like, I'm not sure there's a better answer. And that is incredibly tangible advice of like, there's an equitable hierarchy. Somebody's not always getting bumped because somebody asked you to do something and you always prioritize group A over group F or whatever. Like, I think in reality, as leaders, there are always going to be requests. And, we're always trying to manage how we show up and how we're helping. And I think that the reality of that ongoing prior and current communication saves a lot of heartache for you and anybody else you're working with.
It's just showing your intentions, right? It's telling you you're important. This is important to me, but I also have something else that's also important to me. So I'm going to try and blend both in at the same time. And there's some people who could take a perspective on that. If you need to leave late or leave early or come late, then maybe you shouldn't be involved in as many things. Maybe you shouldn't be going to as many meetings. And like I get that to a degree, but those meetings or these events or activities are how you learn about life or learn about anything about life that you can then take back and teach unto others, or use that knowledge for yourself. I think a weird perspective with my architecture class is that all these organizations I'm in that are nothing to do with architecture, they inform me on how to come about design or how to make a building that focuses on the experience of the people that are going through it. Like these different perspectives will intertwine and help you throughout your life or help others adjacent to your life in so many different ways. So that's why I like being involved. It's kind of a mindset I've taken on. Maybe it justifies my overpacked schedule a little bit, but I like that perspective on it.
Well, I think I think people should be like that in every aspect of their life. I think people should absolutely be like that in a student role where, a lot of people will say yes to whatever if as a student. Like you have a lot of opportunities on a campus. You have a lot of opportunities as a student. And you'll have opportunities when you're not a student, but there are a lot of opportunities as a student that I think getting the most out of is advantageous. And I think it's also, as a student leader, you sit in a lot of places with students who aren't as involved as you. And so as a leader, your ability to feed information or facilitate conversation or encourage somebody to do something, if you're not as involved, you kind of lose your ability to connect people in that way. And I think that's a real part of the role you are playing. I will also tell you that we have a colleague, Patrick and I do, who says, if you want something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah.
And I think that the example you're sharing, if you're like, well, maybe your calendar shouldn't be that full. Like an object in motion stays in motion. And if you like, our busy people are busy because they're doing a lot of things, and that's a good thing. So I will tell you, that's my favorite anecdote for like, you want something done, ask a busy person. Like, how do you think I got this busy?
Yeah. It's a cycle. It's a sick cycle. And I don't like physics, so I'm not going to use your analogy again, but it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's not an architecture one, so that's okay. We'll let that slide.
No.
If a student feels unsure about stepping into leadership, what advice would you give them?
I don't think I've ever felt sure stepping into any leadership position. I, I mean, that's not any advice in that. I'll go about, well, honestly, anything. I'm looking at leadership positions now, and I'm not sure if it's going to be too much to handle, or if it's going to be too much of a time commitment, or if I'll be good enough at it, or if there's someone else more qualified, or if I just want to take on the responsibility or not. And the simplest way I figured out whether or not to jump for it, and I've said yes or no after doing this, is just not asking anybody their opinion, because I like doing that. I like to be stirred by other people, but don't ask anyone else their opinion. Sit quietly. Think if you're going to be like heartbroken not doing it. And I know heartbroken is a really broad term, but like if you picture yourself not trying this role and then you picture yourself a year later, are you going to be sad you didn't go for it? And I think an important step of that, and I know it's scary, is again not to ask anyone, because they're going to give their own opinions, which you might need in the end, right? And sometimes they're really helpful, but sometimes that's not what you really feel. So I would tell people to get their own feeling, know what they want first, and then see what other people say, and then ask your parents, and then ask your friends or professors. And I still struggle with that sometimes too, but that's made it easiest to make my decisions.
I want to just like give you huge kudos for like the world's most tangible leadership advice. Like, are you going to be sad you didn't go? Like, that's a real question. That's a real metric. It's not a pro con list.
Yeah.
And I think even like, yeah, like then you can ask people, but like we have to decide, like, and I think this is the difference between like leadership and performance or performative leadership. Is like, am I doing this because somebody thinks I should? Am I doing this because it's going to look good on something? Or am I doing this because I genuinely believe, like, and I love that you use the word heartbroken, and I love that you use the word sad, because I think that like leadership is an emotional thing. Like if
Yeah.
you're going to have the energy, the drive to keep doing this thing that is hard for any number of reasons, like you really have to be in it for the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be bogged down, or you're just going to do what people tell you to do, which is not a good leadership style. That is not good. You got your position, or people chose you, people trust you because of who you are. And you can take advice. You should take advice. You should always take perspectives, especially perspectives that are different from your own beliefs to balance out what you're thinking. But they chose you. So you need to be ready to give your opinion and thoughts on things.
Let's talk about that. Okay. All right. Yes. I think that is such good advice. You know, whether you're picking students for something, whether you are a student, whether you're new in a professional role or whatever, if someone put you forward on a committee, if somebody put you in some role and you don't feel like you have the system in place to make your own decisions, that's not true to the spirit of being put into that space. Like that is such an incredibly important point.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the most profound thing. Like Austin, I just need you to know, like I'm obsessed with that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, all right. All right, you're winning real talk. I love this.
Yes.
Who is someone who has shaped you as a leader? The way that I wrote this is who has shaped you most as a leader, and if you have an answer for that, that's fine, but I'm not like a favorite movie, favorite song person, so that might be too, if there is someone who singularly has shaped you most, or who is someone who either works.
Well, this could go so many ways, and I'm going to do a non-answer, and then I can answer it if you still
Perfect.
want me to. But I can completely, like, my full-hearted answer is everybody I've ever talked to.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a sentimental person. I mean, the bracelet I'm wearing is from one of my bosses, and if you turn it inside out, it says nothing is impossible. I'm drinking out of a glass that my friend's parents gave me when I got the vice presidency. I'm looking at a statue President Cook got me. So like everybody who has encouraged me or discouraged me and forced me to think harder, I think is, someone who shaped my leadership. If you want to get specific though, of course I'm going to credit the Kaylee Weigel, like the Kaylee Weigel.
Kaylee. Yeah, the Kaylee Weigel. Yeah.
Yeah. She is, we talk about honest and integrity, but she is very empathetic as a leader and as kind of a partner or a friend or a peer. When I was thinking about running for vice president, I got asked to run as somebody else's vice president first, and I didn't feel comfortable doing it. And I told my parents about that, and I was kind of bummed and conflicted. And I said, well, if this person named Kaylee Wagle that I met this year asks me, I trust her and I would do it. And then the next day, Kaylee Wagle goes, well, if you'd run, I'd run. So the honesty and the empathy she has, and she would walk me through situations with the knowledge she had, being a few years older than me and being a microbiome grad student at the time. Just the trust she put in me, and just could not be better.
I love that you gave me an answer and a non-answer, or a non-answer and an answer. They're both great. Always shout out Kaylee Weigel, who just I'll be honest with you, from my standpoint, when you're always looking for the students who can tell their story. Mm-hmm. And Kaylee was a step above so many in my experience of hey, we're trying this thing. Do you have time for this? So fully would say I agree entirely with all of your feelings about Kaylee. You said everyone who has encouraged or discouraged me by helping me think harder or telling me to try again. And I think that's different than criticism. And so tell me, because what that sounds like to me is tough love. Tell me about that and that impact on you as a person and a leader.
Well, yeah, I think there's tough love from that for sure. People who are saying, oh, you're doing too much, you're going to fall behind in school and you need to focus on your academics. And then I'll turn around and work just as hard as I've been working and then end up with a good grade for that semester, a good GPA. So there's that kind of I'll prove them right kind of a mindset, which maybe isn't the healthiest. I think that's just human, right?
Yeah.
You want to, prove your point, kill them with love or hard work, right? There's also a side of that of people who do have ill intentions, I think. And if you look at, there's an old post on my Instagram from high school, and I got some negative comments when I won Homecoming King, which this is really way far back in the day. And on Instagram, I was the cheering was louder in the caption. I was so there's different ways to think about it, but I can't think of the word, but there's mental fortitude.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of knowing the direction you're going in and reminding yourself that you can do it, or what you're doing is right for you. So I think, tough love, improving them right, but also people who maybe don't think that you can do it, not in a tough love way, just in a mean way.
Yeah.
Proving to them that you can do it as well.
Yeah. And I love that we're talking about all the realities of leadership. So thanks for just being here for the real talk, if you will. But I think that, I read something in the last couple weeks that said, stop expecting people to understand your vision. It's yours for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I think there is a level of you have to be mentally fortified when you're going for something, when you have a vision for something, when you're leading, sometimes you're leading people and you're communicating a vision that is not understood or isn't readily understood, or even sometimes able to be understood. Mm-hmm. And that's hard. Leadership is hard for a reason. We don't just say that because it sounds good, right? It is hard. And your life is yours to live. And I think that does come back to I think that threads to people chose you for a reason. Being a leader is hard, and it's not just hard because we say it's hard. It's not just hard because we hope you think highly of our work or our work ethic. And so just you're saying all the important things, Austin. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Leadership, this is my next question. Leadership is not about holding a position, it's about holding trust. Where in your life right now are you being asked to hold trust most carefully?
All over the place. And I'm trying to think of good examples, but trust is held from every interaction you have. It's held with the barista you never met, right? That they're going to make good coffee and that you're going to, have a good day. I don't know, yeah. Right? It's just in every small interaction, though, there's some aspect of trust. So I'd say it's in every interaction. Professionally, part of that might be in the Memorial Union remodel. I'm on the executive planning committee for that. Trust from the students that, what I'm advocating for is earnest. A lot of students have very valid concerns about, raising cost, and that what we're saying is going to be raised is actually how much it'll be raised, not more, not less. Trust that we might need this renovation, trust for our reasons behind it. Also trust in the committee that as a student, I'm not showing face one way there and then showing a different face publicly, right? I could say that. I could say in my architecture studios that I'm giving truthful and trustful critiques to my friends. So honestly, in all different aspects, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that we started with like the barista and the coffee and the MU committee, because I think there is, a leader you can trust is a leader who can have a conversation with a student in front of a committee member, or a conversation with a committee member in front of a student, because you always know when that vibe is off. Like it is palpable, right? And that doesn't mean that I or you necessarily phrase everything the same way in each space, but we're not saying different things. And that's such an important part. And I think this is where in some senses student leadership is some of the hardest leadership. Like there's a reason we're starting with you. Because you're leading between different worlds.
Yeah. Well, and if I can build on that too, an issue with student leadership, as I'm hopeful other students or young people in similar situations will listen to this, or anybody. But being in a leadership position, you also have access to a lot more information just by the nature of it than you can physically share out or are allowed to share out, right? Yep. Like I know how the whole funding system works for our clubs, buildings,
right?
Like no student wants to know that or
correct,
like has the time to attend like lectures on that, right?
Yeah.
So when a student asks like, why is this money going towards the union and why can't it go towards like a residence hall, for example? They kind of have to trust my word when I say, well, it just can't. Like, and then I'll give a brief explanation, right? But they kind of just have to trust what I'm saying on that.
Yeah.
So that's a different way to look at it too.
Absolutely. And I think there is like, as leaders, you're holding more than is someone else's job to hold. And that doesn't mean you get to be dishonest about it. It doesn't mean they're not smart. Like that's just the role you're in.
Yeah. I would love to talk about policy and funding for hours, but no, none of my friends want to for some reason. So
and like weird because like I'm on the board at the Red River Valley Fair, and it's time to go through the bylaws.
Yeah.
And
how exciting!
And like most people are like, and I was like, hi, that is. I'm a bylaws girl. happy to have that conversation. So I think there is also this level of like constantly managing not just like the honesty or the integrity of like what can you share versus like what are you going to listen to in line at Caribou? How do I distill this to what you're actually asking right now?
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is my current favorite thing, which is I'm going to like start a sentence and then you have to finish it.
Got it.
So like, for example, the room changes when a leader
says the uncomfortable truth.
Ooh, the room changes when a leader says the uncomfortable truth. Okay, why?
Well, I think the other people in the room are kind of hoping you don't say it. But once it's said, you have to deal with it. So I think the vibe will change big time.
Yep. Because like, what are we doing if we're not dealing with the hard things, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The cost of leadership is.
Ooh, okay. I'm thinking how to word this because I kind of know what it is. The cost of leadership is putting your reputation on the line to uplift the group you're leading.
What's it like to win all the time?
Trust me, I don't.
Yeah, but your grade is 112%. I don't know what, like, you're just, this is excellent. You're doing a great job. Criticism is hardest when?
it comes from the people you trust the most. Kind of a basic answer, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because like the people you trust the most, you've already decided you're allowed to say the thing, so now I have to
Yeah,
deal with it.
I know. And I tell you to be honest with me, and you're dishonest with me, and ooh, that hurt.
That did. That was a hard one. When I have to make a decision that won't please everyone, I remind myself,
That's why I was put in this position to make the decision.
batting them out of the park. I'm like, this is a situation where there's no wrong answer, but you did find all the right answers, and I love that for
Okay.
you. Leadership at its core is.
I'd say authentic. I think leadership and leadership styles are what's best will vary for every person and situation.
Yep, love it. Love it. Because there's allowed to be different kinds of leaders, right?
Yeah. So there needs to be. Yeah.
Yep. Amazing. Okay, this is my second to the last question. And we're going to get in our feels.
Okay.
So, like, our president just left. And when I think about somebody who's impacted my identity as a leader, Dave Cook is high on the list.
Yep.
Tell me either a favorite memory or something he taught you that will stick with you forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, my favorite memories not related to governance at all.
Good.
But
We can also do both.
okay. Yeah. He invited Kaylee and I to sit courtside at a NDSU basketball game with them. And his daughter just come into town and actually brought with her grandparents. And then Dr. K Cook invited us back to their house to eat cookies with them. So like,
That's amazing.
so silly, but also just so fun. And I've mentioned this when they've left, but the trust, I think, is the right word, or the faith they put in me. I'll speak for myself, and me
Yeah.
as a young leader, as a student leader, to enter their home or to sit on boards or vote decisions, or literally whatever is
Yeah.
like invaluable to developing my own like trust in myself, right?
Mhm.
Like if this person trusts me, I should be doing something right, hopefully. Like, so just, yeah, that's probably my favorite memory. What
I
was the
love
second part
that.
of your question?
Something he taught you that will stick with you forever. Whether like, and this can be like for me, so many of them are who he was, like they're living examples. They're not like when Dave was
Mhm.
like, Bethany, do this, except wear a coat. He did always tell me like it was the thing that we
Work.
talked about, but
Yeah.
um, you know,
Yeah. Well, he always told me to drink coffee on the way out of the office. So I think he knew I was
excellent.
not getting much sleep between classes and activities. Um, but him and Dr. K Cook, President and Dr. K, both doctors. Titles aside, both the Cooks. When I was a freshman, they had just started, and I had just started at NDSU. And for whatever reason that crossed my mind, I was not in any position. I emailed them and said, "Hey, do you guys want to get coffee? like talk about the university?" And they said yes.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, so set up an Outlook meeting, coffee with the Cooks. The moral of that story again is kind of dribbling back to different things we talked about during our conversation, but it's to give everybody that you can, at least the time, if you can, of course.
I want you to walk me through how you decided to send this. Like walk me through the decision to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna email Dave and Kate. Like, because like you wouldn't like you did you like you
Yeah.
wouldn't know like you didn't know
No.
them.
No, I didn't know them at all. I don't know. I think not like something I capitalized off of, but I think I just saw an opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're all new. We got 4 years together. Why not
Yep.
start off some connection? Why not? And then I
Why
had someone.
not?
Yeah, why
Love
not?
it.
Well, okay. That's how I live a lot of my life, Bethany.
Because why not? Because why not though? Like what's like?
Yeah,
And my friend Brandy would say in this moment, what's the worst they're gonna do? Say no. Like you've lost
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. And it's fun. Also, if they say no, something to learn from.
Yeah. I love it. That's my new favorite story, and I wasn't here, and that doesn't matter. But it's like very dear to me because like it's just so
it's
on brand for who they are.
yeah. It's very sincere.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, last question. What's one piece of leadership advice you'd like to share?
Well, besides being authentic, which I think just comes down to it, um, maybe it's a piece of advice that goes to being authentic. And it's something I talked about during my speech last year too, and I just liked it a lot, so I still reference it in my day today, whenever meeting I'm in. But it's how I understand it to be called as the paradox of specificity. If you're familiar at all.
No, go on.
No, but you might know the concept, not the science term. Like I didn't know that, so I looked it up. But the idea is you could say, I'm running on cheaper school lunches, or you could say, I'm nervous right now. And people might relate to that. They might not relate to that. They might not trust you on that. But if you say, I'm running on cheaper school lunches so that everybody can have mashed potatoes on Fridays because they're my favorite food, or if you say, I'm so nervous right now, my palms are sweating and my knees are shaking a little bit, people are going to relate to that more. And it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Because you think if you get more specific, you're going to count people out.
Yeah.
But it's actually different because we're all people, and believe it or not, we actually all have more experiences in common than we maybe think we do. So the more specific you get, according to this paradox, is actually you'll reach a broader audience. So the advice in that is, if you have a mission, or you're running on something, or you're trying to be successful in any endeavor, is to be more specific. And that might mean being more vulnerable or being more honest than you're hoping to be, but you're going to get more respect from that, and you're going to get more trust from doing that.
Well, it's funny because like the minute you said like my knees are shaking, I immediately I felt it, right?
Yeah.
So like I love an example where I'm like, yes, immediately, yes. But that is like I would have said the same. I would have felt like, even like, yeah, I would have assumed that, cheaper school lunches, we all eat lunch. Like, no,
Yeah.
like bring it farther. That's a great tidbit to share at the end here. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time. When I tell you batted this out of the park, I mean it. Like, there are so many things you said here that are informative to me and will be informative to others. And I'm so grateful for your time and your leadership. And I hope you have a really great Wednesday night.
Thank you so much. Right back at you, Bethany.
Happy Wednesday, Austin.
Roll
Roll hard.
Amen. Have a good night.
Bye, Austin.
Bye-bye.